Welcome this Thursday to 2MB Studios. The pageantry, the drama, the action. Look at the mighty win!
Our intergalactic champion, Le Magnifique Nordique. Prude and popping out, women's tag team champions. The Slam is on our QAW women's champion. Oh my God! The ring has just collapsed.
As you said, he's gonna need to ground these flying squirrels. Go to sleep! It's Lloyd Legacy Sharp is your new QAW Men's Champion!
Quarantine Action Wrestling, 2MB Premier Royal Rumble, this Thursday at 9 p.m. after Mind Over Manor. And if you don't like it, too bad! I'll see you in the ring!
So there's a song by Powerman 5000 called Worlds Collide, and this is basically what's happening today for me. Hi, I'm your host, Josh Poirier. This is Interesting Points. Basically in March, a friend of mine came to me and said, I want to do a wrestling thing with WWE 2K19 video game and have people cut real promos and have people cut commercials and stuff like that and just kind of make a real wrestling show out of nothing to kind of pass the time during quarantine. And lo and behold, it's now October and we're still doing this. And now we're moving over to 2MB Studios where we are now. And we're doing the Royal Rumble first show on Thursday and then every Thursday following. So I figured I'd do something a little different today on Interesting Points and bring some of the QAW wrestlers into my other life, my other world, into the Interesting Points world, and talk to them a little bit about what wrestling means to them. So first up, I'm going to bring on my first guest. Who is it? Wellington Arms, former champion Wellington Arms. How are you, Wellington?
Oh, you like to rub it in, Josh. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you lost to Lloyd Legacy Sharp at the last pay-per-view.
Certainly I did, yeah. Well, the history books are yet to be written, I'd say. So I'd say look out in the future.
Right. All right. Next up, we've got Jess Bryant, the Slamazon. She's our current women's world champion. How you doing, Slamazon?
Hola, Josh. ¿Cómo estás?
Está bien. So you beat AC. Oh, next up, we got Bold Hard Bastion. Consider not at all cold hard cashin', correct?
Who's that?
Oh yeah, you don't know.
I don't know who that is. I'm totally new to the league. I don't even know what's going on.
So cold hard cashin' was a former women's tag team champion with your partner now, Delia Payne.
Before me.
Yes,
got rudely kicked out the league.
Yeah, rudely kicked out of the league by her mother, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Her own mum.
Her own bloody mum.
Yes. And next up, we've got the current World Tag Team Champion, Women's Tag Team Champion, Payne Austin, who also just brought a monster into the league. Is that correct?
Oh, well, I would say that all men are monsters deep down, but my monster is a little better than other monsters because it has the mind of a woman.
Nice. Very good. And that last but not least, or probably but least, we've got...
Hey, everybody! Welcome to Interesting Points with Turd Tahoe. I'm your guest, Turd Tahoe.
Turd Tahoe.
Oh,
wrestling, wrestling fan, wrestling commentator extraordinaire.
Wrestling legend.
Yes, Turd, we know. We've heard you say it millions and millions of times. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of talk to you guys about what wrestling means to you. I'm going to start with you, the Slamazon, since you are a women's world champion. What does wrestling mean to you?
I am the champion, yes. And thank you so much for recognizing, yes, the belt and I are having a very good vacation. Right now we are in Turks and Caicos, which is very nice.
Nice.
Yes. What wrestling means to me? Well, I think wrestling, for me personally, I would say it is about fighting, against the forces of evil. As you know, as you just referenced at the last pay-per-view, me and some other wrestlers managed to dethrone the Generacion, as they like to call themselves, and as you and I and Payne Austin and many of us know, the Generacion, right, the generation, as you say, they are always up to dirty tricks. It is the only reason why they ever win, and so I am very proud to not only have beaten Ashley Volts once, but twice. Dos veces. It's very good for me, and the belt and I, we are very happy together.
Nice, very nice. So, Wellington, do you have something to say about that, being a Generation member? Or
Well, I'd take exception to at least one of those victories against Volts. It was done after a victory that she had already earned. In a full match, she came in, she was tired. But what's done is done. I'd say as a member of the Generation, one of the leading members of the Generation, you couldn't have gotten it more wrong about what wrestling means. Wrestling is about separating wheat from chaff. Simple as that. It's organized conflict. The cream rise to the top. The best people win. The losers sink down. And it's organized. And we make it happen.
very, very wise words from who is now a chaff, actually, pretty much, now that you've lost the title.
You make me laugh, Josh. You make me laugh, Josh.
Oh, why are we laughing?
So, Payne Austin, you are one half of the women's tag team champion, having beaten Bitches Brew at the last pay-per-view. What have you got to say about wrestling?
Well, I just want to say a little shout out to Bitches Brew, God rest their souls, for they put up a good fight. And truly, the Women's League is fantastic. Just because we're on the top of it, Slamzon, doesn't mean we don't respect them. Wrestling to me is about really physicalizing, breaking through the bonds. So sometimes we're fighting the good fight, and it doesn't feel all of that literal. So for me, wrestling is about taking the good fight and making it into a literal pounding.
Nice. Jared, you got something to say about that?
The good fight, wrestling is life, is what I want to say. Old Turd grew up on the mean streets of Montana, and was on the wrong sides of the tracks of Montana. And when Old Turd found wrestling, it gave him focus, and it gave him a place to apply his craft. He was brought into Southern South Carolina wrestling to start off with, invented a whole slew of things. Did you know Old Turd invented putting ropes around the ring to keep you from falling out? That was my noodle.
Oh, whoa, Turd, you're still talking. I'm sorry. You invented the ropes?
The ropes! I was looking at it, and we had a feller. His name was Steam Claw Davis, and Steam Claw Davis would constantly miss a punch and just like fall right out of the wrestling ring, fell right on his nose the one time. And I was like, "What if we put up 3 ropes around the ring, keep old Steam Claw in the action? Because I feel like he's gonna be a star one day." He did not turn out to be one.
I do love your stories, Turd. I do love your stories.
Me too.
Cold hard cashin'. Oh, I'm sorry. Bold hard bashin'.
Careful.
That person's not here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Bashing. Look, it's right. I can't point to it, but it's right there.
Oh yeah, it does say that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I do like that you said old hard bashin'. That feels more appropriate than bold.
No, it says bold right there.
Oh, it does. It does. But we called you as bold.
Payne Austin can't read. Oh, you're not doing much for your namesake, are you?
I suppose I'm not. It must be all of this time I've spent as a champion. I need to get back to my books.
Maybe you knocked a bit harder then. Maybe knock some sense back in that head.
Being a champion affecting your reading comprehension explains some things about Old Turd's youth.
Explain. I need to hear the explanation of this.
Well, old turd, I became champion at Carelessly Swedish Wrestling back in about '84. And around that time, also, Turd stopped being able to comprehend the things that were being given to Turd to read out loud for commercials and endorsements and whatnot. I always assumed it was because it was written in Swedish, but it could be because I was champion and lost the ability to read.
Yeah, I can see that.
I do.
Senor Tahoe, can you still read in English?
I can now because I've got no belt. I'm retired. So I can, for example, I can see Wellington Arms, Payne Austin, and Old Hard Bashing right there.
Okay, it's bold. It's right there. Bold, hard bashing. It's right there.
Is it though? Is it?
Yeah.
He said he can read.
There it is. I'm just saying that Bishop's Brew was champions for like practically the whole season, and neither of them had any problems with reading comprehension, did they? No, they didn't.
So what does wrestling mean to you, Bold Hard Bashing?
It means revenge, don't it?
I guess
because,
so.
See, here's the thing. So I'm brand new to the league. I've never done this before. I'm totally brand new because my best mate, Delia Payne, her partner, Code Hard Cashin, different person. She got somehow, by some strange miracle, beat by this one. I don't know what way the camera's pointing. This one, her partner, somehow, and because of that, had to leave the league, which is totally unfair because it was on her mother's orders, and her mother joined the league after she did. So it's not fair. It's not right. So I'm coming back to help my friend out, right? Aren't I? And get some vengeance for Bitches Brew. But we're a new team now. We're Iron Brew, all right? And that's a UK reference. So if you don't know it, get educated, all right? Am I bothered? I ain't bothered. Look, face bothered. I don't care.
Thank you, Bold Hard Bashing.
It is so interesting, Bold Hard Bashing. You remind me of this show, Roseanne. Have you seen it? There is a daughter named Becky. You remind me of her. It is so funny.
I don't know why. I don't know why. Don't know it. Sorry.
I think it must be your attitude.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know it. Sorry.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go around one last time and kind of ask you in one word to describe wrestling. Describe QAW in one word or one sentence and what it means to you as a wrestler. So QAW to you, Wellington Arms.
QAW is the premier internet format for wrestling.
Nice. Slamazon.
Oh, this is muy difícil for me. I will say QAW gives the opportunity for people like me to put the bad guys in their place.
Nice. Bold Hard Bashing.
In one word, redemption.
Nice. Payne Austin.
Oh, well, for me, it would have to be all about justice, wouldn't it? Whether that is respectful justice or whether that is straight up vengeance.
Nice. And Turd, I'm afraid to do this, but Turd.
QAW is the home of Turd Talk with Turd Tahoe. I'm your host, Turd Tahoe, where we talk about wrestling.
He thinks he's on his own show. Okay. So, guys, thank you
Speaks to the heart.
Thank you for joining us for this segment. We can drop the characters now. Turd, take off your wig.
What character? I'm a different person.
It's very interesting to me, Bold Hard Bashing, why you would need redemption if you're brand new to the league.
True.
I
No,
understand.
redemption for other people. Shut up.
That was fun. So now we're actually going to go into the actual show. So what it is basically I'm just going to go into the Prove It To Me segment, which everybody's kind of an expert in something or claims to be an expert in something. So basically, I just want you to talk about what you're an expert in or what you really enjoy. I'm going to start with Gwen. Gwen.
Oh man, I would have prepared something different than this, but
That's fine.
on the spot. I'm a voice nerd. I'm a nerd about how voices work.
Huh.
and I have an undergrad in vocal ped. So my particular interest is in the history of belting and the physiology of belting. So I'll talk to you all about what a larynx looks like and how I would sound like a kazoo if you cut off my head, but I could still sing all day.
Wow.
Yikes.
I've seen video of that with a deer larynx before.
Yeah.
It's wild and it
kazooing.
sounds insane.
I am horrified.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that in grad school with cadaver larynx. It's not with our
That's
I don't like it.
it's really cool. That's incredibly cool.
I have a mortal objection to your expertise.
If you prefer them to be alive, there are YouTube videos of people just having scopes put down their nose, which is another thing we did for fun. You can see, like, live.
Just go around scoping each other.
You must love getting tested for COVID.
You want to get scoped.
Yeah, no problem.
Wow, that's really cool. That's really neat and a little disturbing. Ben, what are you an expert in?
I am an expert in the art of barbecue.
Nice.
Real live Eastern North Carolina barbecue, whole hog, vinegar sauce. Anything else is a cheap imitation.
Not Southern South Carolina.
Not Southern South Carolina. That is, I believe, extra mustard based.
Sorry, and not Texas barbecue, not Kentucky.
Look, Texas barbecue brisket is fine, but don't call that barbecue. Like, it's not a pig. It's all about you don't cook it slow enough. You don't cook it long enough. There's no art.
Question.
Yes,
So barbecue has to be a pig?
for me, yes.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that's I'm North Carolina. Lived in North Carolina my whole life up until I came here. So we had three major religions in North Carolina, and they are in order of importance: college basketball, barbecue, and then actual religion.
Where do the Panthers and Hurricanes fit in there?
It depends on your mileage. I love the Hurricanes with my whole heart, and the Panthers also exist.
So, Jess Cashin, what's your expert topic?
I'm an expert in travel, more specifically international travel.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I used to work in the travel industry until the COVID happened.
Why?
I'm doing great.
I used to work until the COVID happened too.
Yeah. But I'm doing great. But whenever travel comes back again, I will be. I mean, I'm still very well prepared to tell you about international travel now, but you probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah, probably not.
Can we do it? Is that allowed right now? Aren't we banned from everywhere?
Not everywhere. A decent amount of the Caribbean will let Americans in. Turkey and Croatia will let Americans in.
Nice.
Finally, I can take that Croatian vacation.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Croatia is hot. It is hot.
Look at all
It is
those
the hot new
islands.
destination.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Is it cheap? Is that why? What's the exchange rate like?
It's not. It's expensive to get to Croatia. It's not easy to get there. So that makes it more expensive. On the ground, it's fine.
Yeah.
But getting there is the challenging part.
I think it must be because you can call it a Croatian vacation. That's why it's so hot.
On the Dalmatian coast.
Oh God.
So what
What a
other
sensation.
what other tips do you have for traveling internationally?
For traveling? Oh gosh. I mean, anything more specific within traveling that you want?
I don't know.
Where shouldn't we go?
Yeah, where shouldn't we go?
Where's the worst place to waste your money on vacation?
The worst place to waste your money. Probably something with awful human rights violations. Don't go to those places.
So the United States.
So yeah.
Domestic vacations are
anywhere but
out.
here.
What is the place that 100% deserves its good travel reputation, and what's the place that's super overrated?
Ooh, interesting question. I am going to say, I mean, I've never traveled to a place that I've hated. I've really enjoyed all of my trips. I think a lot of that would depend upon your travel style. So like, I'm somebody who, when I travel, I like to have a mix of like doing stuff and activities, but also being able to just kind of like wander about and, kind of explore things at my leisure. So like, I love traveling to Spain whenever I can, because I lived in Spain for a little while. And so I love going back there. And I think that Spain lives up to, okay, here's what I'll say. Barcelona. Barcelona is my place that I don't think lives up to the hype.
Okay.
All right.
Controversial opinion. Because it has become so touristy. There is a lot of beauty to be found, in Barcelona. You can still find some places that are beautiful. And outside of Barcelona, in the Catalunya region, there are some lovely places out there in the countryside, some really nice wineries that you can visit. The Costa Brava, about an hour north, is really nice. But Barcelona itself, I think, has become overly touristy and would not necessarily, I don't love Barcelona. I don't hate it, but it wouldn't be my first pick.
Good to
know.
All right.
Is what I would say. But what does live up to the hype? I went to the Azores last year. Gorgeous. Would recommend. Highly.
Is the water warm there?
I didn't actually go in the water. When I was in the Azores,
okay.
But they do have a lot of people will compare the Azores to.
And you call yourself an expert.
Well, I don't know. It was a work trip. I didn't have time for leisure. But they do have hot springs in the Azores.
Ooh.
So you can take like a nice, relaxing bath in the hot springs. But if you do go to the hot springs in the Azores, don't wear a white bathing suit because it will be orange by the time you get out because of the iron content in the water. It will turn your swimsuit orange.
Wow.
So wear a black swimsuit.
Wear an orange swimsuit.
Hey.
Hey, free swimsuit dye.
Yeah.
That was a really bad joke. That didn't even come out right. That was just me stumbling over something. So, Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, I guess I'll say history. That's a thing. I'm a nerd about history. I'm usually juggling several history-based podcasts at a time because they'll get up to current and then they'll come out like once a month because they can't just go on and talk. People are doing research and building storylines. So I'll go power through one and then catch up. So now I'm juggling a few, but really like classical and medieval European history. I think probably because I took Latin in high school and it's like 5 years of Latin. And one of the, I'm definitely one of those kids. You said Croatia, which like my mind went to, that's where Diocletian retired to. The city of Split is where it's there now. He had a huge palace and he was like the one Roman emperor who didn't die or be killed, usually be killed. That's tends to be what happened. But he just said, peace out, I'm good. And went and farmed cabbages in Croatia. And everyone just kind of left him alone, which was weird as people then killed each other. Cabbages in Croatia?
Yeah.
A Croatian cab. Yeah. Cab retirement. But yeah, I love just soaking up information. I've got to the point where I'll be reading, or the podcasts are very useful because you can kind of do something else while they're going. And I've gotten into where I don't really care how uncharismatic or boring the person's voice is. I just want the information in my head. So I'll just have it on. Like I'm listening to one about the Crusades right now because I was getting into Byzantine history and there's an intersection there. And I got into Byzantine history because of Roman history. It's a continuation of it. It's not the Byzantine Empire. It's the Eastern Roman Empire. They never called themselves Byzantines. So don't make that mistake. And in fact, up until the 20th century, there were still Greek people calling themselves Romans, apparently, because of how ingrained that was in what they were. Yeah.
I had a Latin teacher in high school who was fully insane.
That's not surprising.
But firmly insisted that if you went to Italy and found some like coastal towns, they were still like full on speaking Latin.
I don't think maybe they're referring to Sardinia. Because
She
Sardinia is
is-
probably the most isolated.
She insisted it was Latin, but again,
Linguistically.
she was also insane. She wore purple contact lenses and
Oh, okay.
promised everybody that was her real live eye color.
Wow, that's like my Italian teacher, who was this old off the boat Italian guy, Mr. Magno. That's his name, and I just remembered it. But he had such a weird, like almost a death fetish. Like he was like he would make us conjugate words, make us translate sentences like we were playing soccer until the plane crashed. I was like, well, okay.
Were they playing soccer on the plane, or the
hilarious.
plane crashed into their soccer field?
I'm not sure.
Man, that's
When you
fantastic.
think of like whenever you make fun of like not retaining much language from high school, you're always like, oh, I can say like there are many books in the library. The car is red. You don't think of like, oh, things you learned in high school. We played soccer until the plane crashed. Like that's not.
Yeah.
Or I used to have 4 brothers, but 3 of them died horribly.
One died well.
I love this guy. Oh my god.
He was insane. He was absolutely insane, but everybody loved him.
That's fantastic. In high school, I had an English teacher where it was my junior year. 1 week we had for vocabulary the words heinous and onus in the same week, and her sentence that she made for the class was "Your heinous anus is an onus."
Wow.
And I loved her ever since that day.
That's quite a sentence. So, Jessica, what's your expert topic?
Last time I was on, I said paranormal research.
Yes.
But I'm gonna go with something way more boring this time.
Normal research.
Normal research. No, I'm gonna say I'm almost embarrassed to say it. I'm gonna say The Sims 4 video game and its fandom.
Oh, I love The Sims 4.
I love The Sims 4.
What is
I
the
have
fandom surrounding this? I didn't know that they had a fandom.
Are you serious? Oh my god, it's like an entire like segment on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. I have a Sims YouTube channel.
What?
I know. I do. Yes, I do.
Wait, so if I were to watch a Sims YouTube channel, what would I see?
So there is a variety of different things. The biggest ones would be speed builds. So like one part of The Sims that people like the most. Oh my god, yes, and I will do it. Can I do it? Can I be the person who does the Sims show? It would be a speed build. So part of it, like half the game is like building houses and different places for Sims to go. And then there's Let's Plays where people just kind of like play through the game. And then another one would be like challenges. So there's like the 100 baby challenge where you try to have like one female Sim have 100 babies, and see if you can do it, or like maybe you do a challenge where you try to like have a Sim die by every type of death there is in the game or something.
I actually just watched the challenge where 5 people tried to get their family to die first.
That's hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah. There's speak some Sims language. Well, dag. I can't think of anything off my. There's dag and sul, which is hello and goodbye.
Sabaducha. Sims 2, I think it was. They had Sims Superstar, where you could like become like a famous singer or whatever. And the only Simlish I can remember is one of the songs from Sims Superstar, and they went Plave Vanesky J.
I love the music. So one of my favorite things about The Sims is all of their music is recorded. It's real artists.
Yes.
So like Katy Perry did one, right?
Yes.
So, but they'll have the actual artist come back and record the music in Simlish.
Yes.
So like Katy Perry did one. "Steal My Sunshine." Remember that song by Len?
Yep.
They did have that song on there.
Oh, now that song's stuck in my head. Thanks.
Yeah. Hot in Here. They have Hot in Here. It's yeah. It's fucking ridiculous.
Now I'm gonna go look up and see if there's a Sims YouTube channel that just plays all this Simlish music.
I bet there is.
I'm sure there is.
Maybe, but it's
Spotify.
licensed, I imagine. So I doubt. I don't know. I don't know if I can get away with that. There was a scandal in the Sims community a few years ago where some
Tell
guy,
me about a Sims scandal.
I'm going to tell you about the Sims scandal. So where some guy in like Croatia or some fucking place decided he like made a copyright claim on some music from the Vampires DLC pack, and so anyone who like posted a video that featured that music like got a copyright strike, and we were all like, "Wah!" So for like 2 weeks, it was like a big deal. Like a lot of people got demonetized. So.
Wow.
Not cool.
No, not at all.
Scandalous.
Scandalous.
DMCA trash.
Yeah, it really is. Those are all incredible expert topics. I loved them all. Thank you. So now I'm going to move on to guilty pleasures. Now I like to say guilty pleasures, but actually I know people usually come back to me and say I'm not guilty about what I like and everything like that. So basically it's just something that you like that someone might not expect you to like. Essentially what I'm trying to get at. So I like to call it guilty pleasures, but that's just me. So I'm going to start with Ryan. Actually, Ryan, what's your guilty pleasure?
Okay. This wouldn't be surprising to people who know me, but I don't think I've ever told anyone because I am kind of embarrassed about it. But one of the things, and it's somewhat related to history. It's more geography. But Sporkle quizzes,
Yes.
right? So there was a guy on there he made these giant map-based ones, and I love maps. Like I will just look at maps because I enjoy that. For like my whole living room is all old maps and stuff. I love it a lot. But so he would build these giant, and it was like name the 1,000 largest cities in Europe, and you're typing them in, and the little dots are going away, and it's like. But then he moved his quizzes over to a site. I think it's called HugeQuiz.com. And all these quizzes are just like 1,000, maybe 10,000 answers, and I'll get into grooves where I'm just doing a bunch of these quizzes. And there's one, I think it's like every municipality in the United States. So you get a map, and it's just clogged with pins for every little town. And I think I got 91% complete over the course of weeks. Until the browser crashed, and I was very, very upset.
Oh no!
I was working east to west. I got I got most of California. I think it died around Washington.
Wow.
But it's I don't know all these towns. I'm looking at other maps and comparing and stuff. But I, for some reason, find that very, very soothing and rewarding for no reward.
That's cool.
That's cool. I like that. Gwen.
So I think most of the things that like anyone who's met me, they probably know most of the things that like are a little quirky. But the one that like I don't talk about because why would you? Is eating undercooked pasta.
Oh, yes.
Is like a thing that I do to the point that someone was like, "Do you have pasta?" And I was like, "No." And I have opinions about cooked pasta. Like, I don't just straight up eat like raw spaghetti because that's terrible. But like, barely cooked spaghetti,
or it hasn't even reached al dente yet.
No, like you put it in the water and then you were like, back out.
Al mandibolo.
Yeah, or like egg noodles are perfect for eating raw.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Are you one of those people that eats ramen raw? You like take the ramen out of the bag and just crunch on it?
I haven't done that in a long time, but as a kid, yes. Yeah.
See, my father-in-law actually, that's the way he eats bacon. He just puts it in the pan for a second, then pulls it out. So yeah,
that might not be
bacon.
It's rare bacon.
You're gonna get sick.
It's like the inverse of what Gwen likes. Because you like, do you like it the crunch?
Well, not me. My father-in-law.
Yeah. He's gonna get sick.
Should be super crispy. You're exactly right, Ryan.
Exactly. Yeah. He's
Oh,
been around for like 77 years, so it's working out for him.
All right.
I had an ex-boyfriend who kept getting sick, and he wasn't sure why. And then I was like looking through the fridge, and he had bacon in there, and I was like, "How old is this bacon?" And he was like, "I don't know. I've just been putting it on sandwiches." And I was like,
What?
Have you been cooking it first? And he was like, oh, are you supposed to cook it?
Oh dear. Okay.
Oopsie. He thought it was like
Pre-cooked?
no, he
You
thought it
can,
was
you can buy the
pre-cooked, but he thought it was like fucking, he thought it was like lunch meat, you know?
Oh,
We're
oh,
no
wow.
longer together.
Yeah, how long do you have to do? Like, do you not like take a bite and then go, wait, something seems wrong?
Well, he was from Mexico. I don't know. Maybe like their bacon is different there. I don't know, but
Wow.
it's not. I was with him for 8 years. I've been to Mexico. I've had bacon there. It's not. I don't know. He's just very smart about some things. Very dumb about other.
Nice.
So, Ben, what's your
I gotta go with local government. I am here in my suburban Boston town. I am a member of the town meeting, which
I love
is
it.
the best / worst way to run a government available. I watch our select board replays on the internet. It's just fascinating the things that people latch onto. At the last town meeting, we almost had to reorganize the entire structure of the municipal employees because 2 people were upset about who one person reported to. It was so it's very like it's very Parks and Rec, only more insane. Parks and Rec is probably a little too nice to local government, but it's fascinating. And you have these like deep in my town, we've got people that are just like concerned that any building that has more than 4 people allowed in it is going to have a whole flood of people just come and take over their weird blue collar town that doesn't actually exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like The Sims.
It is. I was very quiet for the Sims discussion because I am out of my depth.
So Ben, if you were one of the characters from Parks and Rec, as you relate to your town meeting, which character would you be?
Oh man, probably Ben. Because like I'm too jaded
Ice
to be
clown.
Leslie Knope. But I was very in favor of the ice arena being built in this town. First of all, so that helped when the Boston Skating Club wanted to build here, and I was like, yes, I'm for that.
Nice.
But yeah, just that sort of man, there's so much that we could do right if we would stop and do it right. And instead we're arguing about, how many stories can we put in a downtown structure? 4 is too many. Someone might put apartments up there and then people will move to our town.
Yikes.
Wow. Jess.
Guilty pleasure. Maybe based on my reference from a few minutes ago, guilty pleasure is probably rewatching childhood cartoons, specifically ABC's One Saturday Morning, more specifically Recess and The Weekenders.
Recess.
Yeah,
Love Recess.
Recess.
Yes, with
Recess holds up, let me tell you.
I believe it.
I actually wrote a paper on one of the episodes from the Recess in college for my theology class.
That's awesome.
That's
God.
You get into God stuff on that?
Well, so there's an episode of Recess where Spinelli like starts a religion.
I love it.
So I wrote a paper on it for theology, and I got an A.
Nice.
That's great.
I was probably too old for that when that came out because I'm an old person, but I actually did enjoy watching it anyways.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's so good,
Yeah, Recess was fantastic.
So good.
and it truly holds up. It really does.
I gotta watch Recess play The Sims.
The Weekenders too. The Weekenders. Oh my gosh, I love that. I still tell people like when I leave conversations, I go later days. Still say that.
What's funny is I have a almost 4-year-old now, and she's a little bit more advanced than our age, so we've been watching a lot of Disney stuff, and I fall in love with Big City Greens, which is an amazingly funny show. And she loves it too. It's almost like The Simpsons if they were Disneyfied. Now that The Simpsons are Disneyfied, but it's almost like the Like it's about a farm family that moves to the city and it's basically it's fantastic. Just watch it. Big City Greens. It has that recess feel. Is what it is.
We love a recess feel.
Yeah, it has that recess.
Yeah.
Classic recess feel.
Yeah.
Anything that's not more Captain Underpants is great.
Yeah, I'll second Big City Greens. I've seen a little bit of it, and yeah, it's a lot more tolerable than a lot of the other content out there.
Yeah, I'm getting so sick of Jake and the Neverland Pirates. Anyways, Jessica.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Kit Tempest, who in the chat says, okay, it turns out that your heinous anus is an onus in French also rhymes. First of all, I don't know why you translated it into French in Google Translate, but I appreciate it because, according to Google Translate, votre anus, oh Dieu, est une fardeux. So thank you, Kid Tempest. I appreciate that. My guilty pleasure. So I thought we were actually doing guilty pleasures. All of yours are like wholesome and like not freaking weird, but like thanks, because you set me up for failure. Or success, depending on how you get. My guilty pleasure is the pimple popping videos on the YouTube.
Ooh.
So like Dr. Pimple Popper, I'm sorry, Gwen. I'm sorry.
Those are satisfying.
Wait, so playing the kazoo in a human neck is fine. But popping a pimple is where the line is.
In fact,
never larynx.
Yeah, I love it. It's weird. So I watched Dr. Pimple Popper's YouTube channel for like a very long time before she got her TLC show, and now she has a TLC show and she like never uploads anymore because like so that's sad. But there's some other channels out there that are just as good, and it's crazy because like, you know, in high school, like I loved popping my own pimples, and now every boyfriend I've ever had has been like, get the frick away from me. I'm like, let me get it. I'm one of those. So there's times where I'm like, yes, I got a blackhead. Let me get so excited.
But you'll pop somebody else's too. Because that's where
one time in college, I was on the student theater ensemble, which was like the student, like, I don't know, the production company, right? Yeah. And I was the vice president, and the president was sitting next to me, and he had a blackhead on his cheek. And I was like, Tom, yes, STE, thanks, I'm Lev. And I was like, Tom, I'm sorry, man, hold still. And I'm like, I just got it. And he was like, what the fuck? I was like, sorry, you're prettier now. It was hanging out. I had to get it.
Like, I'll do my own. I will not do somebody else's.
I'll do my own, and I've done like a partner's when we're like really close and comfortable, but like just generally someone else's.
Even if it's a partner, I won't do it.
Like, I get that it's gross. There's sometimes I watch something and I'm like, ugh. But like, for the most part, I'm
the cyst ones that are like the real impacted, and there's just like a stream of.
And it shoots. It's like a car wreck.
Yeah.
You know, you can't turn away. I think my favorite are the lipomas because they pop out. You know, they like the lipoma is like a growth of fat under your skin, and you just and it.
Yeah. Oh really?
Yeah.
And it bloops. I just want to make sure I got that. It's kick bloop.
Yep, kick bloop. Okay. Kick bloop. Or pilar cysts, which are on your scalp. Because the casing is very thick, and so again, it pops out like an olive or a grape.
I think we're killing.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Sorry. You asked about the guilty pleasure.
I really need to check my scalp now.
Like I once popped like a partner's, and I was like used to doing it, but it was like so surprisingly gross that I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
Wow. Yeah, I have the same guilty pleasure to some extent. I will watch those videos. I'll also find myself looking at like seeing an article about someone who broke both their ankles and being like, I'm not going to click this link. I'm not going to click this link. I'm not going to click this link. And then I click the link and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have clicked the link.
So, I don't like that at all.
No, but I mean, it's just one of those things where you're just like, you're watching. I don't even know why I would do it. I
hear you.
It's just it. I don't know what it is. Honestly, it's weird.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, you cannot pop zits in The Sims, Kit. You cannot.
What I do,
Mod time.
my guilty
Yeah,
pleasure,
right.
actually, my guilty pleasure, I'll chip in too, is actually the Hydraulic Press channel on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
There's nothing
Put
better
a
than
zit
listen.
in there.
Yeah,
So this is Will It Blend, but you're just crushing stuff.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a Finnish couple, and there's nothing better than hear him saying, "Welcome to the Hydraulic Press channel."
Yes,
Like
yes.
it just makes me smile. It makes me smile huge.
See,
Yeah.
that's wholesome.
And
It's
he's always
amazing.
surprised, right?
Yeah.
He's always surprised at how when it like flies across the room.
Yeah.
He
Or
always has a
peop-
big reaction.
Paper explodes. Who knew the paper exploded?
See, I don't watch that,
Oh,
but
I
I
can see
do
that.
on TikTok watch a guy reacting to that and rating it. He'll like
I
watch
love
all
it.
the hydraulic presses and he gives them like marks out of 10. He hasn't given a 10 out of 10 yet though.
That's so insane.
Oh.
That's so insanely
Saving
meta.
That's awesome.
So many layers of detachment.
Right?
My latest guilty pleasure that I found today was, I'm sure you mentioned TikTok. I'm sure some of you have seen this. The guy who watches paint being made and guesses what color it will
Yes!
be.
Yeah.
Yes!
Well, that's what my guilty pleasure was TikTok.
Yeah. Like pour like colorings into a base color, and then he lets it go in the shaker and he guesses what color it will come out.
Wow.
There
That's
is a
amazing.
YouTube channel for
I
everything.
know. Wow, that's amazing.
I want to know how many subscribers that guy has. Like how many views, how much ad revenue does that guy get every month?
So,
Right? Gotta get a gimmick.
so I mean, I don't think anybody's got anything to be guilty for at all.
Thank you, Josh.
We're all doing great.
So I'm going to go into our last game of the night, which is One of Us is the Killer. Basically, 4 of you are telling a true story. 1 of you is telling a lie. It's up to the chat to figure out who it is. I'm going to start with Ryan. Ryan, what's your story?
All right. Well, I guess tangentially related to Wellington Arms. So in the game or in the show, Wellington Arms has a metal arm, and that's actually somewhat based on reality. I have a bunch of metal in my right arm. The story of that coming to be was back in 2012, before the end of the Mayan calendar, but close to it. We had my wife and I had just gotten bikes, and my wife very reluctantly. So I think, but there's a bike path near our house. Okay, we're gonna, it was early July, and we're gonna go out, get fit, ride our bikes, and maybe our 3rd time out. I'm going down a sort of soft hill down to the bike path just across the street from our house, and there's a bunny. There's a little bunny over there, and so she's riding behind me, and I point out to my right. She can't hear me, so I'm just pointing because I want her to look at the bunny rabbit. And okay, well, it's coming up the stop too. So you go to slow down and miss on my right hand. Tap the brake with my left hand, which is the front wheel.
Oh no.
And then just go
Oh,
ass over head onto the pavement and hit my arm. Now, it like a pimple, my arm kind of popped. I broke I broke the humerus. The humerus, not the funny bone, because they artificially broke that later. But my humerus was sticking out of my arm. I went to the hospital, and they put everything back together. I had to wait until the next morning. I was waiting in the hospital with a compound displaced fracture because the parts had to be they had to get parts for me from New Hampshire.
wow.
And they advised me not to do it that night because they were like, the doctors are going to be better rested tomorrow.
Oh
So
my
we're just going to put you on.
God.
We're just going to put you on a Dilaudid drip, and
Wow.
we'll wait until tomorrow.
Wow.
Wow.
Sadly, I would have clicked that link.
I was gonna say that's what it clicked.
Yeah, but they put it. I remember going under before the anesthesiologist, which were I remember them being. They were a older couple from Ukraine. I don't know why I got this information out of them, why it stuck with me, but they were an anesthesiologist couple, and they numbed up my nerve sheath down my arm, so my arm wouldn't feel anything until they did the surgery, screwed in a couple metal plates to the arm to put it back together, and then about 5 hours after I woke up in the middle of the night, probably experienced the worst pain I've ever felt in my life because like it all woke up.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, it's still in there to this day.
Huh.
I've got a metal arm. I will occasionally ding it on door jams because it sticks out just a little bit further than my proprioception will remember, and it'll just like send a weird shiver up my arm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it magnetic?
That was my question.
No, I've been through metal detectors. It's not magnetic. I think it's some sort of titanium alloy. So
Wow.
it's not magnetic.
Does it pick up radio signals?
If it does, they're not being translated into sound in my mind.
Your hesitation excited me.
Has it ever affected you, like when performing? Like obviously, like you and I have done Face Off together for quite a while, which is a very physical show. Has it ever like bothered you during?
I do remember maybe during actually probably in a scene where I had to switch out with you and you were doing physical bullshit like the splits and I had to do that. But I think the only one that I can remember doing a comedy sports show actually picking up like a challenge, and it was like do 20 push-ups, and the arm is still like it crackles a lot and is weaker than my other arm because of being in a cast and muscle atrophy. So do your physical therapy, folks, if you have to do it. Kind of slacked on that.
I'm gonna move on a little bit. Move on. Thank you for the story. I'm gonna go with Gwen. Gwen.
Okay. So some people might know, but I am a horse girl. So this is a story about me being somewhat psychic. I don't tend to believe in like ghosts and premonitions, but now I do because I've had one. When I was in college, let's go back before that. When I was younger, I had a pony that I leased and rode all the time. And the only reason that I could do that, because we didn't have pony money, was because he was a jerk. He was not a nice animal, but by the end, he really liked me. And I trained him to do all these like tricks and things. And people were like, how is that pony not killing you? But then I went off to college and he went and lived with someone else. And then one day, my junior year of college, I had this dream. It was like extremely vivid that this horse was like calling to me. And I was like, that's weird. But I hadn't seen him in a few years. And then I had it 3 more nights in a row, which like not happened to me. I do not have repetition dreams. So I was like, I'll look up. I called up his owners. I was like, hey, maybe I'll come visit. And they were like, well, you won't because we sold him like 2 months ago. And then here's the weird part is they didn't remember that. I think they must have remembered. They just didn't want to tell me. They didn't tell me, or they didn't remember who they sold him to, which is nuts. And I was so upset, and I kept having this dream where this pony would be like, help me, I'm in trouble. And I was so upset about it, even though I was like, this is so stupid. Like, it's just a dream. But eventually I posted on Craigslist missed connections.
Oh my God.
It was not a very big description. It was like so basic. It was like, this is a brown pony. Like, a brown pony. He used to be named this, but I don't know. And someone wrote me back and she was like, I have 2 ponies that might be your pony.
Wow.
And I drove out there. He was in Rhode Island. And he'd been abandoned there. The girl who'd bought him from these people took him to this farm and then left him there and pieced the fuck out.
Rude.
Wow.
And it turned out that it was my pony. And the way that I knew was that I taught him all these tricks and he still knew all his tricks.
That's
Aww.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Wow.
it's amazing. Jessica.
Story. So it is the most amazing story. In maybe like 2nd or 3rd grade, I slept over at my best friend's house, and she was like scared of thunderstorms, or I think I might be doing her a disservice by saying that, but I don't remember. But I was like something about me is that I tend to be like very anxious and terrible all the time, except if I'm with someone else who is also anxious and terrible, and then all of a sudden I'm a hero, right? So it's true. It's the way it is. And,
I'm like that too.
so, yeah. So because she was freaking. So we were sleeping over, and we were on the pull-out couch in her living room, and she was freaking out because it was a big thunderstorm, and it was like flashing lightning and crashing thunder. And I was like, don't worry. The worst thing that could happen was that the lights would go out, and then there was a huge crash, and all of the lights went out, and she lost her mind. That's part one. Part two is that later in 6th grade, there was a children's author who came to my school who taught us how to write children's fiction. Like, that's what happened. So then I wrote that story. And part of it was that we had to describe parts of all of it, as our sense, what each of our senses perceived. And I put in the book that her house smelled like old dog food. my mom was like, Jessica, you cannot say that. That's my story.
Cool.
Oh my goodness.
Ben.
So this is the wrestling one. So I'm going to tell, like all good North Carolinians, I've got a Ric Flair story. And so when he was having his contract dispute with WCW, he was off TV for a while. We started hearing rumors that if you would go to an Independence high school football game in Charlotte, Ric Flair would just be wandering around, and you could go and meet him. This sounded like a great idea. We got in the car. We drove to Charlotte. We're going to go watch a high school football game for a school that none of us ever went to, on the off chance that Ric Flair might be walking around saying, "Someone please love me." And we finally we found him walking down in front of the stands, and none of us wanted to say anything. It was like, okay, there he is. Who's going to go over there and say hello to Ric Flair? And my buddy Jared finally decided he was going to be a little bit of an asshole, and just walked right up to Ric Flair and started doing the wrestling is fake nonsense. And Ric Flair at this point was he was older. He wasn't old Ric Flair yet, but he was definitely at his skin looks like it's about to fall off, and he's cutting promos and dropping elbows on his jacket in the middle of the ring, Ric Flair.
Yes.
And so in Jared's mind, he's like, what's the worst this guy could do to me if I tell him prove it? And so he left Ric Flair, put him in the figure 4 by this football field with a bunch of people watching and cheering on. And it hurt Jared an awful lot. We ended up having to take him to the emergency room because he wouldn't stop complaining about how bad his leg hurt. We were freaking out. I was like, is Jared going to file a report against Ric Flair for assault? Are you going to call the cops on you, Ric Flair? By the way, total sweetheart to the rest of us. Just like, hey, how you doing? You need an autograph? Yeah, my kid's over there. You want to meet my kid? We did not. We should have.
Yeah, probably should have.
But yeah, that's the night that my friend Jared got put in the figure 4 leg lock.
I mean, David Flair is famous. Jess, what's your story?
My story. So when I was a freshman in high school, I set my finger on fire in biology class.
Oh, interesting.
We were doing an experiment about calories and the calories in food, and basically how calories translates to energy burned or whatever. So the way that we would calculate the amount of calories in various pieces of food was some kind of formula involving setting that food on fire and then timing the burn and it's something. I don't remember. I was a freshman in high school a long time ago, so I don't remember everything. But it involved setting foods on fire. And one of the foods that we had to try to set on fire was a Teddy Graham. And so I was the one who was in charge of lighting the food on fire because my lab partner was too scared to light matches. So I did it. And this Teddy Graham would not catch. And so I'm just sat there with the match on the Teddy Graham. It's working its way down the match. And she's like, no, put it out. And I'm like, no, I'm going to get it. It's almost there. I can tell it's almost there. And then all of a sudden, the end of my thumb went up. And so,
what was on your thumb that burned like that?
My thumb.
You are a prime candidate for spontaneous combustion. You better watch out.
Like, well, because it was a flame. It's like the flame. Basically, it was my nail first. Like it got to my nail, caught my nail, and then the top of my thumb. And so it was only on fire for maybe like a second or two before I realized it was happening and blew it out. But I burned off part of my nail, and the top of my thumb was all blistered from being on fire.
Yikes.
And then I had to go to the nurse and explain what happened.
All right, so those are our stories. I'm going to keep it to the chat. Who do you think is actually the liar? Is it Brian, Jessica, Jess, Gwen, or Ben?
I really hope Gwen's not lying. I'll be really sad if Gwen's lying.
What's interesting is you actually talked about lighting your finger on fire. I nearly lit my entire house on fire tonight.
Tonight?
I was frying some potatoes and accidentally had the pan a little off to the side of the burner, threw the potatoes in the pan, and a little bit of water that was still left in the can ignited the oil, and fire shot straight up.
Wow.
Oh no.
So that was
crisis averted.
That's my fire story.
We wouldn't have this show if that had happened.
Yeah, I know. No, we still would have. Would have been a smoldering wreckage. One for Ben.
I look untrustworthy.
Very so.
Very shifty.
Because I could see Ben's story being true, but like a different wrestler.
Yeah, right.
So we got two.
It wasn't Ric Flair.
We got two for Ben and one.
No, I'm gonna go.
What do you got, Ryan?
Jessica.
What do you got?
I think Jess Cashin is lying.
Jess Cashin. Jess, who do you got?
I think Ben's lying.
And Gwen, who you got?
I feel like we would know if Ryan. I feel like we've done enough shows with Ryan that I feel like we would know. I think it's Ryan.
Ben, who you got?
I think it's Gwen because I don't believe in happiness.
Well, you each voted for someone else. This is amazing.
Neither do I.
It just
I don't think happiness either.
So, with the liar, please raise your hand.
I am the liar.
It was the liar.
It was a technicality, but it's not actually my story to tell. I just completely ripped off a friend's actual story of his friend Jared.
So that's been our show. Thank you to Ryan Wellington Arms. Thank you to Jessica Bryant, Slamazon. Thank you to Ben Turd Tao. Thank you to Gwen Payne Austin. Thank you to Jess Cashin, Bold Hard Bashin. Stick around for Jock by Memory, hosted by Ken Breeze, coming up next. Yeah. And please watch us. QAW Wrestling, Call Wrestling this Thursday night at 9 p.m. Is it 9 p.m.
Yes.
on 2MB Studios, and starting next week at 8 p.m. Check us out. We got an excellent show. We've been working on this for months now, and we're just glad to bring it out to everybody else.
Back episodes on YouTube too. You can get caught up. There's so much lore, guys. There's so much
lore.
Really is.
Lore heavy.
Have we started the wiki for it?
No, not yet. I got to do that.
It's wiki worthy.
All right, guys. Thank you all for watching the show. Enjoyed it. Have a great night.
Later.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.